All right, here we go. Okay, well, let me get my first slide up. All right, here we go. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Bayyinah and Friends. So we are back. We had our final YouTube set, our final webinar session of the Know Yourself series on Tuesday. So Tuesdays are currently over with, but now we are still back on Thursdays. So I want to welcome everyone to another episode where Ameerah Bello invites many of her colleagues, friends, or other people that are doing great things in the community, and to help them highlight their work and do different and showcase all of the talent that are doing positive things in our community. So I believe Ameerah Bello, I always call him Ameerah Bello, but Professor Bayyinah Bello is joining us live from IET. So can you hear me fine, Ameerah Bello?
Yes, sir. I hear you very well. Thank you.
All right.
And I am as comfortable as Professor Bello, as comfortable as Ma Bello or Ma Bayyinah or Mummy Bayyinah or all the other names that they give me. They're all welcome. So there is no problem there. Thank you very much, friends. Of course, this is this program, Bayyinah and Friends, is the hard work of Krystel, who handles all the technical stuff from Maryland while I'm here in IT. And so he enabled us to do this. Today we have two great young women. And we wanted to do this show because we are so tired of people saying, oh, young people, young people don't. And we have so many young people who are doing such wonderful things, who are working so hard to build, create, promote, correct, propose solutions. And so very often we just say, oh, young people, young people. So I wanted to have some young folks so we can all appreciate some of their works. Both of these young women that we're gonna meet today are married. They have children. Christelle, you have three?
I have three, yes. It's the one that's very old. That didn't come out of my stomach, but I have three.
All right. So they each have three. And they're each are working women. They're each are very ambitious young women who they each have a view as to how the world should go. And they want to contribute to making that world what they want it to be like. And I remember Christelle, that we're going to meet first. I remember Christelle almost in my mind anyway, the way I get the story, almost going to war with her parents when she wanted to have a center, have a class in her yard to teach people how to read and write. And yeah, and that was, and she was very young, but she was doing.
Yes, I say 15, but I must have been 30.
So, and she did. And I must also say that in the 20 or so young people who learned the techniques of how to teach people how to read and write, they all had to have a center, a class, and teach someone before they could have the certificate. And Christelle was the only one who did everything and got her certificate. So
yes, and the experience, Bayyinah, was a great experience for me that carried on because I didn't know I would go into education. That's not all I do. I am an accountant and I work as an accountant as well. And this started as an extended hobby, but whatever I do, I put a lot of energy and time into. But I believe that those early times and moments where you spent and taught me how to teach Creole were probably the seed of what I'm doing today.
Well, it was, if it wasn't in you, it wouldn't have come out. Once it's in you, it just needs a little bit of rain, a little bit of sunshine, and it blossoms. So, but the point that I was making is that out of 20 or more, it might have been 22, But the only person who went through the whole program and carried through and taught someone people how to read and write. And that was important to me. The other thing about Christelle that to me was important, at one point also, she decided that she wanted to visit Haiti. And the parents were not too keen on that either. And well, she convinced her father to give her the car, to give her what was necessary, and she went to visit. And today, when I look at her books, it looks like those visits did a lot for her.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You go. Tell us about.
Thank you for this amazing introduction, Bayyinah. And some of those memories, you know, sometimes are latent and you don't think of them until you bring it up again. It's just like you say, it stays in you, and then it just reappears in another form. I really did not actively remember or was thinking about those visits. I just knew when I decided I was writing about the Haiti Discovery Series, and I'll give a little bit of background how we got to that. I said, well, I can only start from what I know and what I've experienced, and that'll be my starting point. And so it goes back to those visits. I just knew what I had experienced. It was in me. I didn't actively try to think when it happened, but those were the first things that came to my mind. So thank you for refreshing my memory on those details that really make a difference, and I'm happy to relive them today. So I can give you a little bit of background of how we got to those stories and how it started, and how we got to those stories about Haiti. Like Bayyinah said, when I have an idea, I like to bring it to life, and I like to do it all the way. So my kids, they were 4 and 5 and going to a school in French. And a lot of my friends were panicking because the school where they went did not use the traditional Haitian method to teach kids how to read. And the results varied. Some kids did very well, and some kids, they were 8, 9 years old, and the parents said, you know, the kid still doesn't read properly. So I'm like, I can't let that happen to my kids, so I better take the matters in my own hands. So I said, I'm gonna buy them some books for early readers. So of course, I have an older sister. Whenever I have those thoughts, I will just mention it to her, and she's like, Krystel, all you need to do is to get your kids level 1 books. So very proudly, I call my friends who owns a bookstore, and I'm like, can you send me some level 1 books? And all she could, she told me, well, I can send you, and she starts naming, you know, kids' books. I'm like, oh, this is not what I'm looking for, because I'm looking for something that somebody who does not read properly and who is just a beginner can read all those books. I have them, but for me, it's too advanced. She said, well, if you want, I can propose to you Timalis. I said, well, my kids are not learning how to read with syllabic methods, so, and I don't consider Timalis to be, I consider it to be like a school book, not a short story that's easy to read. That's what I'm looking for. So she's like, well, I'm sorry, Krystel, I really don't have anything to propose to you. It's either the Timalis or the books I mentioned. So I said, if that concept does not exist in French, I will have to create it. So that's how I decided to create the book series, La Petite Pétrine. I said, if I'm going to write a concept, the concept cannot be 1 book. It's going to have to be a series. And that's how the first books that you see on the screen, I went about in writing them. Since I did not know what the reaction would be, and I didn't know what would become of it, I said, well, what am I going to do for the characters? I said, if anything, this will stay a family project. So I said to I'm not the illustrator of the book, so I sent my illustrator pictures of my kids, and I said, can you just do caricatures of those 2 kids? Because if anything, this will remain a family project, and my kids will use those books as they're learning how to read, and we'll take it from there. And then I went on, developed a method to assist kids who are young readers, to give them a little bit of support and I have this way where I realized what I did, I decomposed the reading in French, and I realized what were the stumbling blocks. I realized that in French, unlike English, you have 2 letters that give you a sound and sometimes 3 letters. The child has to know whether they have to read the letter on its own or with the letter next to it. So I said that the first thing I'm going to do is to put, when 2 letters have to be read together, we'll put them in a different color so they know to read it together. The second thing I did, which is I decided by association to associate those 2 letters with a picture that they would recognize. And they, for example, if they see OU, I put a picture of poupée, and they know that it's OU like poupée because they teach them with syllables, so they knew how to recognize the sound. Then I did just like Simalis, I put the letters that you did not pronounce in gray, and I said, well, at least a level 1 child will have that type of support. And I also use the same concept that's used in the American system to put the sight words in a different color. It's not a concept used in French or in the Haitian way of teaching, but I thought that would give them that extra help. So fast forward, that ended up being received with a lot of success, and I decided I wanted to introduce the books in the U.S., and I said, I'm going to introduce them in the U.S. I think I need to have it in both French and English, and that's how my bilingual versions came out. And when I told some friends that I was coming at the book fair, the Miami Book Fair this past November, she said, Krystel, I love your books, but I don't understand. Petra is visiting the world. She's not visiting Haiti. I'm like, oh my God, that is so true. And she said, Krystel, French is great, but you know what? We need books in Creole and English. If she's visiting Haiti, Petra better speak Creole. And, I said, you know what? Sometimes if somebody has to hit you in the face and tell you what's the obvious, and that's what happened. And that's how in November, the book came out for the first time in Creole English and were received again with a lot of enthusiasm. So from my first version, what you have on the screen is actually my second series, my second edition, and the book that you have on the screen is one that came out last week. And I decided for the coronavirus pandemic, kids are so traumatized. My own kids are so traumatized having to stay home all the time that I wanted to offer something to kids for free. And I created this book, which I made available on the ebook, audiobook. I made available for free with the sound accompaniment. Every time I always try to improve. So the one you see on the screen is not the one that you find on YouTube. I've made some changes to it because when I get feedback, if it's constructive feedback, I always make my best to integrate the comments to continue moving forward. And some of the pictures I'm going to show you on the screen are in the already second edition. I've had some people even from the COVID-19 coalition in Haiti that asked me if they can use some of those images in the book. So I made some changes to adapt to the national campaign that they are having to try to help children and the population to stop the propagation of the virus. The pages you have on the screen are my new pages and the book that you will not see in the free edition that you see online. I will update it. I'm just finalizing it today, tomorrow, which is why I haven't updated the audiobook yet. But you will notice that from La Petite Petra, the series that is the Haiti Discovery series, it's called Petra Aklili because as I said in my introduction, the characters were a caricature of my kids. But in my second edition, I have one of the main characters is Lily, who looks more like the traditional Haitian that we see typically quickly, and that was one of the feedback I received, that some the characters, Petra doesn't look like the traditional Haitian. I cannot exclude myself from the Haitian, and she looks like a Haitian that is my daughter. But even if it's not the rule, I feel Haitian, and I don't have any identity if I remove the Haitian identity from myself or from my child. So it looks like, so Petra is, now she, in all the books that are the Haiti Discovery series, she is with her friend Lily, which looks like my daughter's friend. And, she, as you see here, if you move forward, I will show you the 3 books we have in the Haiti Discovery series. I'll come back to this page. I'll come back to this as well. These are the 3 books that are from the Haiti Discovery series, which is Petra Akili, who goes and visits la Citadelle Ria. Et puis, she goes, Petra Akili l'a visité dans le carnaval Jacmel pour la première fois, et puis Petra Akili visité la Gonave. Those are the 3 books that we currently have in the Haiti Discovery series. And I'm very happy to share with you how the concept also has evolved. And friends, do you mind going back one slide? Yes. Yes. So these are extracts from Petra Akili qui a visité Jacmel, and this pour première fois. So this is my the second edition of that book, and all the books about Haiti. One of the things that I always do is to include a map of Haiti, because my goal is not only to help patients who live in Haiti situate and be able to see where each city is located on the island, but also for people living in the U.S. who have children that were born maybe in the U.S. that don't know Haiti as well, to be able to see where their family is from, where that is located on the map of Haiti. And this particular book, it's a level 1 book. It's targeted to parents who read with their children. And you will notice that it has a format of question answer. And the only thing I was very happy when I saw my kids' reaction, my kids know how to read in French, English, and Creole. And when this book came out, I noticed that my daughter, every time she would read the question, she felt an obligation to give an answer. The first question, est-ce qu'on connaît sa tradition? And then she would say, yes, mom, and she would say, like this tradition or this tradition. Or I talk about the costumes of Carnaval Jacmel, costume Carnaval yo bel en pile ou pas d'accord? And she felt the urge to tell me something about costumes and carnival costumes. So I'm very excited about the level 1 books that are coming out in this series, and I hope to create that dialogue about Haiti and about the traditions. These are the first couple of books, but I know that a lot more themes will come out, and I'm sure that I will work with Bayyinah for some historical themes that maybe I don't have the experience with, but Bayyinah is the queen of all of Haiti's history. And I hope that if the kids enjoy reading those colorful books, that they will be also motivated to learn more about their culture. Of course, here I talk about the music, I talk about the foods. Here I talk about the tablettes slowly. I know I like tablets, and I know my daughter, she tends to like things that are sweet a little bit too much. So in the book, I make sure I say, hey, make sure you don't eat too much of it. They always start laughing every time they read that. My kids, they start laughing because it's also a little wink to, hey kids, when some things are sweet, you don't want to eat too much of it, because I encourage the kids to not eat too much sweet or things that are not good for their health. So it's also my way of transmitting those kind of lessons to my children and the things that I want to share with them. Friends, can you please go back one slide?
Before we go to another step of our conversation. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
Yes. I just wanted to, I was talking about the level 1 book, and I wanted to show you where it fits. Yes, you can stay there. You can stay there, friends. No, you were in the right slide. I just wanted to share with you, this is the back cover of the books, which really identifies where the level 1 book fits in the rest of the series. I don't know when to stop, Bayyinah. Just, interrupt me. I don't know if you want me to stop or if you don't want me to stop. I don't know. Interrupt me. Tell me.
Okay, we stopped here on the books. And now we're going to look at the author. So tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, okay. So about the author, I was born in Haiti, born and raised in Haiti. And I was there until I graduated from a French school in 2002. I continued on to study accounting and marketing at Georgetown University. And I started to work as an auditor until I came back to Haiti in 2011. I was in Haiti. I went back to Haiti because I got married to a Haitian. I had 2 kids back to back, and I inherited an older son who's, well, if you see him next to me, you'd say, Krystel, how can you have such an old son? He's almost 18 and tall, much taller than me. And after that, I started to work in the education sector by offering classes, accounting classes and Excel classes to the Haitian community. I've been doing that since 2017, and I started this book series in 2018. December 2018 is when those first books came out. So I'm a mom, I'm a professional. I spend a lot of my waking hours working on my work and on my projects. And one of the reasons I wanted to write those books with my kids, I said, well, at least when I'm working, I can include them in it. So I can include them in my work. I can include them in my passions. And that was also one of the reasons that drove me to write this book series. And it is also an opportunity for me to share important lessons. Not only I sneak the little lessons that I want to share with them in the books. If I find that I have a problem with one of my 2 children, for example, there was a problem in school. My daughter was very sensitive to the reactions of students, and this girl is not my friend. This person told me this thing, and she would start crying. And I'm a parent. I'm sure if anybody has young children, the first time it happens, you want to cry. Every time the child is crying because they told her something, unless you can resolve and help the child resolve that problem, you want to cry. So I said, okay, I have a solution. That's how I wrote this book, actually, where Petra was being teased in school. And I was like, well, how do I want my daughter to react if somebody is teasing her? And what I decided to offer as a solution, I said, other people's opinion, the problem she is crying is because she is giving more importance to the other kid's opinion than what she thinks of herself or whatever they're attacking. And the book is, they were attacking her school bag and saying it was ugly. I kept it light. And I can tell you the big satisfaction is that since I wrote this book, I can tell you that my daughter is a different person. And when somebody will try to tease her or about something, she approaches it with a detachment. And that has been one of the biggest satisfaction in writing this series for me, because I was traumatized. Every time she was crying, I was very sad.
Excellent. Now, where do you live right now? Do you live in Haiti?
That's a tough question. Spiritually, I live in Haiti, but physically, I'm not in Haiti right now. I left for for the book fair, and there were a lot of problems. The pay was pay lock, and that transitioned into the coronavirus. So, you know, I live between Haiti and Miami right now. I don't know. I'm somewhere in between, somewhere in between the U.S. and Haiti.
Yes, that, you know, lots of us have, you know, I made it back just on time, so I could have been in the same situation. It doesn't, you know,
Yeah.
those are things that happens in life. Okay, Christelle, you mentioned that, did we lose Christelle?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
All right. You mentioned that you feel, you know, variation and whatnot. Let's tackle this. People often have this, you know, light skin, dark skin. This person is not Asian, that one is not. How do you feel? You mentioned earlier that you feel that you're Asian and you don't care about
Well,
your appearance has nothing to do with it in a certain way.
well, if, like I said, if you remove my Haitian identity, what am I? So if you take my Haitian identity, I'm not American. I'm not French. So yes, I have had some, I went to a French school. So yes, I have some influence of French culture, but I don't identify with French people. So if you decide that I don't look Haitian enough and you remove my Haitian identity, then you remove my identity. That's, I don't have another identity than Haitian.
Okay, you know that the founder of IT said that anyone, if you're Asian, you're black. Doesn't care what your skin looks like, what your color hair, or where you were born. You know, that's
Yes.
in the first constitution. Every
Wow.
person is a black person. Appearance don't count. And when they're
Okay.
asking him, but then what does black mean? He says black are those who fight for freedom. That's who black is. So you should never let people talk to you about, you know, skin color, appearances as what it is that you do. What is it that you bring to the society? That is what will make you an Asian or not. All right, we're gonna create a little time so that the audience can ask you some questions. Are you ready?
Yes, it will be my pleasure to answer them.
All right.
Awesome. All right. So that was a very great, inspiring story, Christelle. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, indeed.
I want to open up for questions. So everyone, hopefully we're familiar with how questions go again. Go ahead and put the raise hand icon so that I can choose you. So if you're on your phone, there should be like 3 little dots where you could hit and say raise hand. And I'll be able to choose you, and you can unmute your line and you can ask a question of this fabulous author here, Krystel, Armand. So I believe Melissa, you could go ahead and unmute your line and ask a question, please.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi, how are you, Krystel? Hi, how are you, my Bello? Hi, friends. Hi, everyone. Peace and blessings to everyone. This is really exciting. Last session I had some things come up and I missed out. I'm sorry about that. But I feel great that I made it to this session, and this is really inspiring hearing your story, Krystel, and you know how you really took charge and you saw the changes that needed to be made, and you said, well, I'm gonna make them. That's everything. Hearing that is everything. So hello.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, something happened with my phone, but yes, it was just well, I have actually a couple of questions because I'm a writer as well, and I you know, hearing another author is just very, very, you know, it's inspiring. And I want to know, as far as developing your book and everything, did you ever deal with any writer's block and things like that? Like, how did you overcome that?
Okay. Thank you for the question, Melissa. And yes, so the writer's block. I would the themes that I write about are inspired from a need, as I mentioned. The first 5 books that I wrote, and they're short stories. Okay, so I should say that they're short stories. They were inspired from my children's lives. So, for example, even if it means nothing for the person reading it, for example, the very first book I wrote, and friends, maybe you can put on the screen. So the book's on the screen, so it's easier for me to not skip something, was the hero of La Petite Petra, Le Héros de la Petite Petra. This one, the red book. And the reason I wrote that book is because my kids are about 13 months apart. You know how kids are always fighting, but they really love each other very much. And I wanted them, my daughter sometimes being the elder one, sometimes, you know, she will do things to her little brother that I don't necessarily approve. And I wanted her to remember that her little brother is always there for her and is her hero. And that's how I wrote that book. So there wasn't a blog because I was writing about something very specific. We spent a lot of years being at the beach all the time. This is part of our family life. So it was not difficult for me to write a short story from on the beach because this is part of our family life. If I take the one, the third book that I wrote was the blue one. My daughter, I wanted her to remember, well, she might grow out of it, but she has a lot of headaches. And I make it a little bit fun in the book. And she also, and in the book, the girl, she stays up late at night, and that's my daughter. She always gets in trouble for always like trying to hide the iPad and staying on late at night. So again, there was no reason to have a blog because I was just writing something that happened and documenting for her how she is now, 2 years ago. And the one about laughing, it was to get my nerve out because once my daughter starts laughing, you can be dead serious and be like, Daniela, I'm trying to be serious here. And she will continue laughing. And it's not funny for me. Like she's laughing, but I'm not. That's a detail that's not in the book. And this is, again, just so. And then the story about Italy, my dad, when he turned 70, he brought his grandchildren and his kids to Italy, and we went as a family, and I wanted to document that. That was what was happening. So that's why when some people are like, how come she's visiting Italy and not, you know, Haiti when that book came out first? This was just me documenting what was happening in my life. I didn't say it like that, but even like inside the book, like she's wearing a little cap. That was a cap we did for my dad for his birthday. And it means nothing to the person reading it, but for our family, a few generations down, hopefully we'll remember that. And then after that, the themes that came after that, I actually have them with me. I told you about this book, which was to solve the problem of my daughter crying every time somebody, you know, said she did or she said something. This book was about, again, documenting something that is specific to our family. First of all, my kids, they've been on my case. They want to go skiing. Well, I haven't been able to bring them skiing yet. I'm like, I'm going to buy myself a few years by writing a book about them going skiing. And then hopefully they'll, you know, I'll be like, Petra did this before you, and then we'll do it next. They haven't done skiing yet. And then it wasn't hard to figure out how to write it because I just wrote what I think we'll do when we'll go skiing. And it happens in Canada because my sister lives in Canada. And then and I wanted to teach my kids a story about perseverance because I think whatever you do, and you know that more than anybody as an author, it's not easy. So it doesn't matter what you do, everything is required that's worth doing requires perseverance. And I'm sure, but Bayyinah's daughter is gonna, even her story, but I haven't heard it yet. I'm sure it's not easy what she's doing. She's teaching kids how to do math, and to make it a success, it requires a lot of perseverance. And this one, which is about Christmas, I have a lesson that I wanted to teach my kids about giving and receiving.
Let's give another person a chance to ask a question.
Okay,
sorry. I'll try to. So, anyways, when it's relevant, when it's part of your life, it's easier to be inspired.
Yeah, no, you're right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
All right.
Next question.
All right, awesome. Is anyone? I don't see any hands in here, but if anyone has a question for Krystel, please. Is it Krystel or Christelle?
Krystel, if you want to be precise.
Krystel.
Krystel.
I try to be as precise as I can because I don't like when people don't say my name incorrectly as well. So so whoever has a question. But I have a question for you, Krystel.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, so I try to write as well, and I think I'm similar to you, where I write just based off of inspiration. Like if I'm not inspired, then I can't write anything, right? But my inspiration kind of comes and goes, right? Like if I had a deadline or something like that, then I'll just I don't do deadlines at all. So do you have like a publisher where they give you a deadline? It's like, okay, Krystel, we need to have this book by this time and this date, but you don't really feel inspired to work on your book right now? Like, how do you manage that?
That's a great question, friends. I'm worse than a publisher. I'm self-published, but I'm harder on myself than a publisher would be. Much, much harder on myself because, and that's a little bit my character. I work a lot with deadlines. Everything for me is a deadline. And I have like a list every day of things that I have to do. And even if I don't have a deadline, I create a false sense of urgency because I believe that's the only way to get things done. So I do work with deadlines, but I don't experience I don't have that block. And maybe if I was writing a 200-page book about something, maybe it would be harder. I'm not in that situation. Usually I would say, okay, I need to write the story. I know what I want to say. It's not hard for me to come up with what I want to say because usually there's something behind it. When I decide I'm writing the book, one day I'm like, oh my God, I need to write something for the kids on the coronavirus. I mean, I just wrote. But I do think having deadlines is important I self-inflict deadlines for everything. It can be everything I'm doing, I'll put a deadline. Even if I have to place an Amazon order, I'll put a deadline. Everything I put a deadline because that's how I can make sure. And then since I write it down, I can make sure that in a day I did enough things. And I have a lot of different hats. I work in our family business. I have a lot of responsibilities. We're starting a new business as well, which I'm in charge of. I'm writing, I'm teaching, I'm on task force for COVID-19. If I don't put a deadline, I'm not going to get things done. So I'm self-published because I did not know yet in which direction I was evolving. So I said, the right publisher will find me one day. It hasn't been the case yet.
All right. So what we see here, you see deadlines is all about discipline. You give yourself the discipline to accomplish what you set out to do each day. And that's very important for all of us to work with. Okay, shall we take one more question for Christelle?
Sure, let's see what we have here. Okay, someone in the chat room has a question. So one of the questions, what is the font type for the title? I like the little in this typography.
Wait, let me give you a second. The name is hard to pronounce.
What's that?
Yeah, give me a second. I am looking. It starts with a K. I know it starts with a K. It's KBVIPADEEDOODAH. It's like KBZipadooda.
Okay, that was a good pronunciation. Zippity doodah, whoever asked that question. Okay, very good. Oh yeah, they spelled it. Kid zippity doodah. All right, so someone else in the chat room had a question. Rosaline, if you want to unmute and you can ask your question. Okay, well, while we wait for Rosaline, Yaya, my question. Oh, Rosaline's there. Okay.
Well, we can see ourselves.
Okay, the question is from Nomes.
Okay, hi. We're from Montreal right now, but usually we have part of Rencontre sur l'Histoire from Fondation Bayyinah Bello in Haiti. When I was younger, me and my wife, we had our first bank account, who was from a project from this foundation.
Najak.
Yes.
You're in trouble, Najak.
Yeah. Right now, I'm working at Montreal North. I'm a community organizer, and I use plenty of tools that I learned from Bayyinah to do monthly workshops or meetings with Haitian community as well and all the other Quebecers. I have this question for Krystel Kanzki. We have a library in Montreal whose name Racine, who usually they have only Black people and only Black authors. Do you link up with those people? They made a lot of noise in this area because they are the only Black library in Montreal and maybe in Canada. French Black library.
Okay. Was that a question?
Najak. Najak was
Yeah. But I didn't know. And what is the question exactly?
I put it in the chat. Do you link up with Library Racine in Montreal? Do you link up with those guys?
Not yet. I'm not yet present in Montreal. That's one of my projects, but I'm not on the Canadian market yet. So I'll be working on it in the months to come, but I haven't done it successfully yet.
Okay.
All right, that will close the session for questions directly to.
Well, we have one more question. Can we
I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Good morning. Sister, what do you do to nurture your spirit? I hear what a busy and structured time frame you have to meet your goals. What do you do to center yourself?
That's a very good question. You know, I read a lot, mostly audiobook, and most of the themes that I do choose are those related to spirituality, and that's usually where I spend my time before, in the morning, at night, when I'm showering. I'll listen to audiobooks to recenter my mind and recenter my spirit as well. And I do go to church as well on Sundays. I grew up as a Catholic, but when I'm outside of Haiti, I mostly go to non-denominational churches, and I think that helps a lot. And I go with my sister, and that helps a lot with recentering myself.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for that answer. Okay, take it away, Ma.
Thank you. And now we're going to move to Anna Kauna's presentation. I hope you will stay with us. And
Yes, of
I'm
course.
going to open up again for questions from both of you. Okay? Where is Ameerah Bello?
He is right here. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, now I do. All right. Welcome to Bayyinah
Thank you.
Friends. Even if it's, in this case, it should be Bayyinah and daughters, but daughters are also friends. So that's important. Okay, Anakawana, please tell us about your project first.
Sure. So I have a set of twins. They are currently 8 years old, and when they were younger, 2 or 3, I wanted to develop their academic areas, specifically math, because math was an area that I struggled with all my life. And being a teacher, you know, I'm aware of all the struggles, especially females, especially Black females, encounter as they progress in their grades. They struggle with math. It's just, you know, we have math anxieties. You don't see women in higher level math classes. It's pervasive. So I wanted to fix that and start working on that when they were early. So I just started searching, like, what can I do? What's out there? What's available to me? And, you know, you come across the videos of students doing these amazing calculations mentally. And, you know, I wanted to know, well, if these children can do it, well, so can mine. Let me find out how. So digging a little deeper, I found out that there was this tool that you kind of always see and you never really know what it is. And, you know, it looks a little like this. And many people have seen it. You might have seen pictures, or you may have seen an image of an older, probably Asian looking person working it. And we know that it has something to do with math, but the information and what an abacus can do and what an abacus does, especially here in America, we don't know. We just have no idea. So the reality is the way that this tool is designed and the way that it triggers both sides of your brain and the way that it makes you visualize math and the beads, it helps students not only compute, but it helps them with mental calculations. It helps them with memory and concentration and visualization. So I just couldn't believe that there's all this research out there on these tiny, or sometimes you see them much larger tools, and we're not doing it. We're not aware. So just started working with my girls at home using the abacus, and I realized that there really weren't any books for people who were like me, people who were parents who wanted to introduce their children to the tool, but I myself didn't know how to use it. So there wasn't anything out there for me. Like, how do as a parent, if I'm already unfamiliar with the tool, I probably have some math anxieties, and I don't know how, you know, its value. Well, how can I impart the importance of it and the benefits of the abacus to children? And there wasn't anything out there. There's some books out there that help parents who may have already been acculturated to using it. So I did 2 things. The first thing I did was I designed or redesigned the abacus, and I have a patent application out for it now, because we have to get a tool that's simpler, that's easier to approach as a non-abacus country or society. And the second thing that I did was I needed to design curriculum around it. So if you have a typical abacus, it looks like this, and this is a pretty small one. This one might look a little bit more familiar, and this is intimidating. People see this and nobody wants to touch this. So I did some redesigns, and my husband urged me, like he said, like, this thing is patentable. So I have some versions that look like this, where I have a patent application where it's just easier to approach for younger children, ergonomically designed for smaller fingers. And there are 3 levels that I have. So there are 3 different units, and the book accommodates the 3 different units. So my premise is that younger children can start doing higher level math way earlier than most standards ask for or require in the USA. Many of our children in their schools are still doing a lot of tracing and counting, and, you know, count the butterfly, take 3 butterflies away, or look at your fingers. While we have our counterparts in other countries who are doing, you know, 29 plus 28 minus 5 plus 15, and they're doing them quickly.
So 5 and 6-year-olds can do that in other parts of the country where they make use of the abacus, then my 5 or 6-year-olds could as well. So I redesigned the tool and I built curriculum around it, not just curriculum to hand to kids and let them do it, but to also introduce the tools to families and parents who are unfamiliar. We need to be aware of strategies that work, and we have to stop living behind this curtain that everything in America is great, including our education system. It's not. When you look at international math scores, we're failing, and we're failing bad. And I didn't want my children to fail. I felt like I did in school in terms of math, with the anxieties that math gave me. And I didn't want to impart those things to my daughters. So it kind of turned into like this overdrive. In addition to this how-to, right? Just the basics of how to use the abacus, what the benefits of the abacus are, and add and multiply and not add and multiply, we just have add and subtraction, count, position, add and subtract in the book. I also wanted to include things that the Common Core standards, I believe that are beneficial in the Common Core standards. Your critical thinking, your journaling, your reflection. So not only are they doing beadwork, and not only are or in the book, but I also have some activities in there that require children to reflect or explain. How did you derive at this answer? What did you have to do? And you help them build vocabulary around what they're doing. You have children that can complete and compute math problems, but they can't tell you what they're doing. You can ask a child, like, what is happening when you do a division problem? They'll say, well, they'll tell you the process, which is what we really teach in this country. We teach the process. Well, I take the 4 and I divide it by and I put it over, but they can't tell you what's happening in the dividend. They can't tell you what mechanics are happening, which is why many of our children can't apply math to the real world, and they devalue the subject. So they move forward, and so they have this deflated value of mathematics, the value of mathematics, so they're less apt to take classes in math, and they're less apt to, kind of qualify for some of the careers that pay a little better. So I say all that to say, how did my project? So all of these things are floating in my head while, I'm creating this, and I'm just trying to build some stronger math skills in my children. And people started asking me, well, how did you do this? And how did you get your children to do that? And I had started answering, and then it became worksheets. Thank you, Franz, for keeping me on track with the PowerPoint. Being a child of my mother, I didn't want, so I mentioned that you have your reflections, your journaling, and other things, but also this slide also I have historical figures. So if we're going to have some word problems, let's have word problems that reflect people who have historical figures. But I didn't, in the way that I describe them. So you have word problems here where children would have to use the abacus to calculate, and this is one of the very basic levels. But it also introduces who, for example, here you have Mary Bozier. It introduces what she's done, or Robert Smalls, and not just the historical figures in America that are more common, but historical figures that might be less common. And in the back, I give a description. And it's not just, your typical, this person was a slave, that type of language, but no, this person was a spy, and that's what they were. For example, Mary Bozier, she was a spy. She was one of the first American spies. And so let's not call her a slave. Let's not call her enslaved. Let's describe her as what she was. She was a fascinating, courageous rock star woman. So in learning the math and abacus, I'm also introducing these people that I think need to be part of daily vocabulary and need to be part of like our conversations that we have in our homes. And I'll stop there.
Thank you. Now, would you tell us about Ameerah Bello?
Sure. I am Amira. I am a teacher. I've been a teacher for several years, and I'm a veteran teacher. In the beginning, when I think Mummy, my mother, was introducing these young women, I kept looking around because I have too much gray, right? But I am a mother. I have a set of twins. I have a newborn. His name Amir Dessalines, my namesake. And I've also inherited 2 additional children. So generally, we have a party of 5. I'm a full-time teacher. I am a former Olympian. What do I do to develop my spirituality, if anybody asks me that? I try to find silence in all of this. You know, just recently when we think we're on top of the world and we have our schedules down packed, something like this pandemic happens and you're home with your kids all day and working, and, you know, you have to come to a place where you realize that, yeah, you know, I thought I had it all down packed, but just one thing needed to change. So you know, one of the things that I think about, somebody saying, you know, when Einstein got his first job, I think it was with the patent office, and the position was 9 to 5. And he was so excited because, you know, he had 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. to work on all his ideas. So I try to make the best of my 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. I try to make sure that the time that I spend with my children is quality time, and that order and discipline and rigor that my mother has instilled in me, I try to help balance that out, but those things are really important in our home. You know, I try to kind of be present and see where I am and see what I'm doing now, how can that benefit or impact me next month, next year, and 5 years from now. And I think that was an extension of this project. Like, how can what I'm doing now with my 3 and 4-year-olds impact them a month and a year and 10 years from now? So I don't expect them to be math geniuses, but I definitely want them to know that they can approach any subject with confidence, and feel sure that they can go and walk in any direction and that they can be successful, with whatever path that they choose.
Sounds good. Thank you. Now, did you have something that you wanted to show us?
So there's a couple of things that I can show you. I think we've had an image of our workbook, my workbook. And because the Abacus is such a foreign tool, what I'm doing right now is offering the book for free in exchange for feedback. I want to see and hear what people are saying and how you're interacting. Are you interacting with your children? If something is confusing, I think I've learned that some of the best, you know, the best way to move forward is hearing from people who are actually going to interact with the book or with the device. And I did show, oh, one second. I have a prototype of my abacus that I'll grab. Maida, Maimuna? Yes, Mom. Can you grab one of the abacus for me? I have a prototype of my device and how I kind of manipulated or made some modifications to the abacus. No, it's in the one in the box. One in the box. Thank you. So,
hi, Gomer.
Hi, Maimuna. How are you, darling?
Good.
You look great.
So nobody's going to buy this unit, and many people won't buy this as well. But what you might buy to teach your child would be to start with one rod. As they grow and develop, this particular unit would help them add, subtract, multiply from 0 to 9. And then they can graduate to using 2 rods, which they can add, subtract, multiply from 0 to 99. And then this unit add, subtract, multiply from 0 to 999. So this is a 3D prototype of my product that coincides with the book. It's really exciting because it went from just an idea to actually something that's a physical product that people are working with and giving me feedback, and I'm making some adjustments and modifications to the design. So it's kind of exciting to have a project, because how often do we go through life thinking of projects and never manifesting them? So it's exciting.
Absolutely, very exciting. The best thing, it's divine, in fact, when we can have it in the head and then bring it into matter. That is putting our divinity to work.
That's true.
Shit.
And both these young ladies have done just that. They have thought what they wanted, what they saw as missing, what they felt was necessary. And in our chart, for those of you who took the Learn to Know Yourself, in our chart, we call that the moment of creation. When you get to the point where you're clear, this is missing, there's a need for that. And then you go on and bring it. And the community receives it and say, yeah, they didn't think about it, but hey, this is necessary. And that's, yes, that's when you closer to your divine self. So thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
Doing what you have done and for sharing with us what you've done. Because that too is very important. It's important for all of us to know. We've all come here with a mission. Each one of us have something to do, have something to bring to the community. Don't sell yourself short. Trust that thing inside of you that's saying, yeah, you should do it. You should do it. Go ahead. Get up. Give yourself a couple of slaps in the face, in the head, whatever you have to. But do what your mind is telling you to do. We need it. Please do it. And on this, if that's okay with Friends, unless Friends has something else that he wants to share with us, we will go on to questions.
The only thing I want to share is that I need everything that I saw today. I need the children's books, I need the abacus, I need the workbooks, I need everything. So you'll definitely be, Christelle and Amira, you guys are amazing. That's great stuff that you guys put together. And
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to receiving them and working with them, with my kids. I have a 6-year-old and I have a 12-year-old. And math is not their best subjects. But just like you said, like, you know, the counting on their fingers and my old school learning of math, because they bring home math homework. My 6-year-old, I think my 12-year-old is in 6th grade. And I can't help him with his homework anymore. So I have to get him like a tutor and stuff. But, you know, he still struggles. So any help in that area would be welcome. So thank you so much for that. And we do have questions. So we're opening up questions.
Where do we click for questions? Where do we raise our hand?
Yeah, it's the raise hand icon is in the participants screen. So if you have
that's one. Yeah, that's one.
On your laptop, it should be there somewhere. So somebody in the chat room, please help her with that. Okay, so who is that? Christelle? Oh, Christelle. Christelle, you don't have
I don't think I have the raised hand, so I'll go after.
no, go ahead, Christelle. No, you're on, so you can go ahead and ask a question.
Yes. Yeah, Amira, congratulations. Your project is amazing, and I can say very, very, very needed. I don't think you shared with the audience what age, target age, your tools, for what age they're for. And even myself, I would like you to clarify, you know, my kids are 6, 7 for 2nd grade, and I didn't know that girls usually had more difficulties. I saw it in my daughter, that she had more difficulties than my son, who's very good in math, but I never knew there were statistically differences because I was part of the exception in math. But I would like you to share with everybody, you know, what target age groups your books
Sure.
aim.
So am I unmuted? Yes. So the initial target age group, I'm starting with preschoolers. So we're targeting 3 to 6 to 7-year-olds. And the reason being is that for Franz, for example, for your 12-year-old, he's already really learned, he's gone through, he's 4th grade, right? So it's gone through 4 years of pretty much learning to calculate the way that he has. So as I did with my girls, I started them learning to calculate using the abacus. Now, math is math. A calculation is a calculation. It's the way that we program our mind to calculate. So learning on the abacus and being able to visualize the bead, when you say to a child who's abacus trained, you know, 54 plus 48, you know, they'll work those problems out. And I wanted to really develop the fundamentals, because as you matriculate and as children matriculate through the grades, whatever school districts or schools, they're going to have a different method or approach of whatever the particular standard is. But if we provide them with a strong foundation, then they don't have to keep going back to the rough work, the rough calculations. And I'm a high school teacher. and even my brother who's on, he can attest to this. Some children get to the point where as soon as they hear math, they correlate that with, let me grab my calculator or let me start counting on my fingers and toes. We don't want them to default to those things. We want their foundation to be strong enough so when they are being introduced to a new concept, which is always built on your fundamentals and addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, that if those concepts are strong and they can perform those mentally, that whatever the new concept or whatever the new methodology of the concept is, they're able to build on those very quickly and easily. So my first set of books are designed for preschoolers, children just starting school, so they can go into school with a very strong foundation of the fundamentals. Later on, I will like to develop on that and tie some of these concepts in, some of the standards, specific math standards, into abacus use. So I've done some workshops in the community, and that was one of the questions, and I thought there's something great to come up where, how can I use this with the standards? And they definitely can be. It's just going to take some thought and some organization to pair those things. But initially, these books are geared toward your learner, helping mental arithmetic that the abacus helps children develop.
Thank you.
And thank you for that question. And I love the tap tap in one of those books. It took me back down memory lane.
The where?
The tap taps.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Based on a real one. Yes.
That took me back to Brooklyn. We got the dollar vans. So, okay, so we got some questions coming up. So let's go to Melissa. Melissa, you could go ahead and unmute and ask a question.
Yes, hi, Amira. Once again, I think it's amazing what you created. I know also myself, I can completely relate, because throughout middle school and high school, I've had issues with math as well, and there were times where I just gave up. So having something like this would have definitely helped. I'm wondering, would maybe later on down the line, would you consider creating some sort of academy or something, say, or are you just looking to get these books and the abacuses in schools?
1 second. I definitely want a freestanding structure. One of the struggles now is just parents. So I do a lot of workshops to introduce parents to the tool. Since I'm targeting such young children, you have to target the parent. So I found it really funny. So the first couple of workshops, you come on, parents, come learn parents. The parents will come into the room, and the first thing they would do is seat their children, at the tables, and they would take a step back and sit back. So one of the things by default that many, I don't know what the statistic is that we're so used to kind of giving our children to someone else to do a lot of the foundational work. So I definitely am exploring different avenues to be more hands-on, right? So it just takes a few months, and then children, even 3-year-olds, because again, I started with my daughters when they were 2. 3-year-olds become pretty independent once they learn the beadwork, which is, happens really fast. But I definitely would like, and I think it's just valuable for there to be an option where there is direct instruction, simply because as soon as a parent, even Franz says, I can't help my child with his homework, but I bet you Franz could if Franz did a little YouTubing and figured it out. But life is life. We have a lot going on. And especially if our children are going to a private school or a school that you have high expectations, parents are more hands-off with the more expectations that are in the school system. So it's really important to kind of be present and make sure that somebody is present with the initial instruction.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for
the question, Melissa.
No problem. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Khan Academy is my friend. I say, if I can't figure it out, I say, go to Khan Academy and and then they'll help you out. So, all right, awesome. So next question comes from Erica. Erica, you could go ahead and unmute, ask a question.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this space. My question was to the 2 panelists, and Bayyinah, if she would also like to share her experience around how do we reconcile what we want our children to learn and what they want to learn that doesn't happen in the school system. So how do we reconcile what we feel they need to learn versus what they're learning in their traditional schools in the system? How do we reconcile those? So for example, be it critical thinking skills, ancestral knowledge, maybe it's something of the kids' interest that they're not seeing in school. I'm just wondering how you approach this challenge, because I feel, especially living in this crisis that we're in right now with a lot of parents who are homeschooling, I find there's a struggle. I'm a teacher myself. I'm an auntie. I have friends that are mothers that are homeschooling their kids right now. And I hear a lot of struggle around them trying to keep up with the expectations of their children's school versus what they feel is important for their children to learn. So I was just wondering if you can touch on this and how you've managed this challenge.
Since I'm not a teacher, do you want to go first, or but I can say from my experience as a parent what I feel. I think. Do you want to go first, Amira, or do you want me to?
Well, my question is not so much as a teacher, but actually as a parent.
As a parent,
how do you reconcile what your kids are learning in school versus what you feel they need to learn in school?
I would tell you from my experience, my kids are, like I mentioned, very young, first, second grade, 6, 7 years old, and the challenge of them being at home learning. So I've had to give them some independence, but I actually make some choices for them. I think given this whole pandemic crisis, I think also as a parent, I've been able to see even more closely the type of tools that are available out there. And I think there's actually a great opportunity. There's a lot of free tools available on the internet. The kids, they're working from home on a computer. Yes, there's a negative side of the screen, but we'll leave that discussion aside for now. But I think the parents right now can make use of all the tools that are available online to help their kids learn what they want to do. For example, myself, to keep my kids busy, and because if they are done with their schoolwork at 10 a.m., it's not good for me. And then my mom helps me with the kids. They have to look. She looks over the kids. She needs them to be calm. I actually add work on their sheets. I make a list for them of everything the teacher said to do, and I add items on the list. They know how to read by now, so they can read the list. And I think there's a great opportunity for parents to include whatever they think is important, whether it's through videos, through tools. And I'm sure Amira knows even more tools than me because she's not only a parent, she's also a teacher. And I think there's a wealth of tools and information available online that we can play a role in directing them towards that information, not as a replacement for the schoolwork, but in addition to the schoolwork, so that they don't fall behind in the traditional curriculum.
I will approach that answer with looking at definitions of those things. School, education. Very early in my life, my parents distinguished, you go to school to get schooled, and life gives you an education. So first and foremost, I am my daughter's first teacher, and I am their teacher. So whatever is happening in the schools, or whatever they're being taught, I know it is my job to, whether it be correct the story, whether it be to add to it, or whether it be to detract from the story. That is my job, to educate them, to put some education around the schooling in which they're receiving. So this is how I reconcile. Another thing is just also trying to make sure that where they land in a school is as close as possible to your values in your home, if that's possible. Some of us have those options, some of us don't. But the thing is to recognize that you are their ultimate teacher, right? So they will learn some standards. They will learn historical standards and mathematical standards, and you educate them around those standards. Sure, they have to memorize some content for testing, understand that. That is the schooling aspect. So you also have to make sure that they're on top of their schooling, but their education, that is what's hugely valuable. And that's what you have to grasp. And that's what I do grasp. We are constantly, the girls and I, like discussing what they're learning and finding out more and looking into that. And, you know, when they're learning about the founding fathers, you know, like we have to change this historical narrative. Like these people owned other people, or thought they did, right? So I had to give them that background. Yes, memorize what the facts that you're given at school, if they're correct, but I also have to give them perspective around that. And knowing that I do that and take the time to do that, then I reconcile, like, you know, they're going to learn what they learn at school, and they'll be schooled at school, and they're going to be educated at home. And I'm okay with that. I do the best, you know, we do the best that we can. And
I love that. Thank you.
Awesome answer. Yes.
Thank you.
Both ladies for that. Okay. Next question comes from, I know there's a few questions in the chat room as well, but let me get through the audio questions. So Family First, Bookman, MD. You could go ahead and unmute, ask a question, please.
Love and respect, family. We have some comments in order to respond to some of the comments that were made. We want to speak first on the abacus and its distribution. Wanted to let it be known that this is something that definitely inspires and is an inspiration for our children. We want to be able to assist in the distribution of it. We have a program here at Family First, which is around the ages 4 to 12 years old. And we think that this tool would be phenomenal in inspiring confidence, which is primary. And then also with the storybook, we thank you for the stories that were shared. I'm interested and want to be able to acquire it. So again, if the website can be linked, it would definitely help. When we were asking about the adults reconciling how dealing with what's being told to our children in schooling, I agree with what was already mentioned. I also want to remind us that no matter how many degrees we may get, we have to remember to keep learning, to keep striving and asking that question from within. Who are we? Where are we? Why are we? What is our mission? What do we do with the time that we have? We aim to be as coherent as possible in this time frame, and we are thankful for the family continuing to inspire us, continuing to do what is necessary to secure the victory of liberation for all of the divine beings that exist here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if the authors, if you want to go into, I know a few of us have posted the links to your websites where it's best to get your products. But if you want to go into the chat room and post like where's the best place we can find your products, that'll be great for everyone that's interested. Okay, let's go next. We have Blue Phoenix. I believe that's Diana in Connecticut. You can go ahead.
That's me. Hi guys, how are you?
How are you?
How are you? I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. But how are you guys? Your daughter's amazing. I just wanted to speak on the fact of the collaborative mission and the goal of the buy-in, the buyback, and particularly looking for 3 to 6 year old children. Seeing the two of you and even seeing the mechanics of I just lost the name of it, but for the math, I've seen those actually used in India, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. And to see you bring it over, I think that's amazing. So in the collaborative, in being a part of, just taking over my father's center and hoping to actually make this for an educational situation, meaning, and what other people were saying is a child only educated in school is an uneducated child. And we have to take ownership of how we're teaching our children. So my question, I guess, is in this collaborative, in reaching out to see you're the math that I was looking for. You're the books I'm looking for. How do we get into connection? Bayyinah, Mama Bello is literally like, when I saw her, I was like, I know there's 6-year-olds that need to be in front of her now. How do we do that? How do we get that together? Because we literally have an academy that can sit with you there, with your math, with yours, and being an elected official in my area to help even get that in our school systems. Like, how do we as a unit start connecting here, so then connect into Haiti, so and connect throughout? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, any one of our guests could tackle that question.
Dr. Bello, go ahead. You go first.
I think opportunities like this, just finding out first, just awareness, right? Being aware of who's doing what and what's available. And emails and phone numbers and websites can always be exchanged. So I think we've completed the first step, and the first step is awareness. This is the first time I've shared this with a group outside of the groups that I normally share it with. So
it's an amazing tool. Like,
thank you.
I actually, to be honest, I have a daughter who's actually very great with numbers, and Legos also kind of did that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
but to see those mechanics here, because you're right, there's children abroad that's just like spitfire,
Right, exactly.
And I was just like, and our kids, and I believe that our kids are actually being told they can't, and believing in that, and us taking control, especially in these little mechanics, especially in like making a textile, because I'm ceramics, I do clay, so textile learning is very close to me. And also why something like that probably excels with young boys, because textile learning. But when you make it, like my daughter was charting, so that's what clicked with her. So it's not, I don't ever think that it's that they're bad. It's just that in a system that's not made for us and our kids to educate properly, how do we expect our children to respond we need to, so I'm seeing you, through Bello, I've studied your mom and I'm seeing you. This is something that needs to click right here. How does a collaborative do that? How do we become a collaborative throughout? We have a beautiful array of things that are almost doing the wheel over. We kind of need to like block each other in and say, hey, you guys, this is our math unit. This is it, structure it, bam. Hey, literacy unit, bam, hey, this is our spiritual unit, bam, and start linking that.
A group of people with a common purpose. Like that's why we're no longer enslaved. People with a common purpose and the willingness to work towards it. Like that's how it happens.
Right. So I'll steal your info, but I just want to say to both of you, there's literally a space. Like I have a space for both of this, and it's amazing, and you're both beautiful, and continue your work. And I'm part of the young groups too that's trying to make that movement. I'm not going to take over anymore. I just think both is brilliant. The language is brilliant. The math is brilliant, but especially with the world, it's broken into numbers, and the understanding of everything is in numbers.
And if I could get your contact information, I'd love to continue this conversation offline.
Most definitely. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for doing this. Franz, Bayyinah, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Mama.
All right, let me see if I could get a few questions out of the chat room. Let's see.
I would like, Franz.
Yes.
Franz, do you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know the name of the lady that was talking, Blue Phoenix, but the one thing I can tell her that would be a solution. One of the things that I have taken notice to is that, for example, in counties, such as the Miami-Dade County, the Broward County area, there's so many Haitians in those areas. Yet, I go to the library, I have a library card, I go with my kids, I read 20 books at a time for them. You cannot find one book that has Creole in there. So if there would be something that needs to happen, we need to get together and say, you know what, we need Haitian books or bilingual books and Haitian books to get into those libraries in areas that there's hundreds of thousands of Haitians. So that one of the things that would be one thing that needs to happen. And if you have a way of helping that happen, that would be fantastic, because that is something that needs to happen.
I would definitely love. My name is Bayyinah Bello, and I would definitely love to connect with both of you too. But yes, that's amazing. And you look just like my mom, so don't let appearances change anything. You look just like my mom, and she's very Haitian.
It's in the heart. Bayyinah said it best. I would have Bayyinah clarify this for me in a very elegant way to say what it is. It's in your heart if you're Haitian or not. It's in your heart and your head and in your spirit, above all.
Haiti, yes.
Yes. You can ask friends to put you in contact with me. He will share my contact with you.
Most definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, let's see. I'm still trying to fish out. I know I saw a question or two. And okay, Fancy has a question. Yeah, Fancy, what's your question?
Hello, everyone. How are you guys?
We're fine, Fancy. How are you?
I'm well. I'm so grateful to be a part of this. I want to thank everyone for being here, and I'm thanking you and Franz for putting this together. I swear I need these. Without these, I wouldn't, build my energy back up because, I have like long days and nights. But nonetheless, my question at hand, I was wondering, and I'm sure I could connect with.
Where are you, Fancy? Can't hear you.
Oh, hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
That's my beloved partner, everyone, just to let you know.
Oh, yes, Diana Blue Phoenix, that's indeed my partner. So I was saying, I'm sure, Franz, I could connect with you on this, but hoping that for everyone that's on here that was promoting their books, if they would like to promote it on our calendar that we have for the Haitian Heritage next month, or it starts tomorrow, we would love to promote their books on there and share it with our platform. And if they are interested, let us know, or or Franz or whoever.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think I shared the calendar with on the screen at one time. Which day is it that we're doing the books?
If I'm not mistaken, Monday, but I'll pull it up just to double check.
Let's see, I have the calendar here. Let's see.
But nonetheless, just in general, to have it up, on our website. It doesn't
Tuesdays.
have to really. Oh, Tuesday, great.
Yes,
it doesn't
Tuesdays are
have to be that day. It could just be on there as advertised outside of just that one day.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes, that would be great, especially like Bayyinah said, most activities got canceled. I was supposed to go to some libraries, and there were activities, a Haitian book fair that got canceled. So we would be delighted. That would be wonderful. I'm sure friends will share my contact with you. It would be great.
Oh, that'd be great. And I appreciate it. I do. And again, you guys, thank you so much for this. And Professor Bayyinah Bello, I miss you, and have a good one.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Fancy. All right. Let's see. Can you send us the calendar? Yes, I'll send out the calendar. Okay. I can't seem to find. I thought I saw a question in the chat room, but I can't seem to find it right now. Thank you, everyone.
Here's a question I see, Franz, by Wahid Abdullah. He asked about online classes, and I've recently kind of released a beta intro class, and that's available on the mathjunior.org site. If Wahid Abdullah, if you're still there, if you go to mathjunior.org, I do have a free intro class for parents interested in introducing the abacus to their children. So I kind of go through a lot of the research that I went through, and it also introduces methods and ways, and I have a lot of free stuff on that platform as well.
Awesome. I know this, Amira, you said you were doing a few Zoom sessions before this. Is that something for like your students that you do, or do you teach like something on Zoom? Do you have a Zoom platform where
No, not Zoom. I was doing it pre-corona, so I was doing them live.
Okay.
Yes, so these were live workshops. If you have something and you think it's great, you want to just share it with the community. So that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to also kind of get feedback to help me with designing the book and other things. So that we're doing local library kind of math workshops on the weekends.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right.
Amira, I don't know if my kids are too old. I know they're a little bit older, but I will try to do it with them just to give you feedback if it can help.
Perfect. That would be great. That's what I'm after. Thank you.
And if you don't mind bringing to, if we, like I said, with Francis and myself, we are the collaborative. We don't mind sending over to Connecticut. I have kids that can go to right now.
Perfect. That's what I want, and I need the feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right, fantastic, great. Well, this was a great session. I'm happy to meet both of you, ladies. Amira, I know we met before in Atlanta, very briefly. You had the troupe with you.
Yes.
So we didn't really get a chance to meet formally, but I'm glad that you were able to come on this platform. And
thank you.
Christelle, your books are amazing, awesome. I'm an author as well. I published 4 books so far, and your books are amazing. Everyone always asks for my books in Creole. So, and a couple of people have asked me if I could do something similar to what you did, where I can have it in English and Creole so that people could learn their history as well as the Creole language. So definitely looking at that. And yeah, hopefully we could probably even collaborate on something in the near future. That would be amazing.
Definitely.
Yes. So thank you so much. Okay. I don't see any more questions in here. So Ma, would you like to lead us into the next phase, or thank our guests?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to both my daughters. I'm a woman who have children by many different means. Christelle is my literacy daughter. That's my daughter, and Anakaona is my biological child, my only daughter biologically. The others are all boys. Men, excuse me. It is great to look at both of you. It's one thing to have known a young person, look at them evolve. But when you're looking at you today, I'm discovering the women that I did not know. Because mothers have a tendency to look at their children as whatever, they stay like 22 or 18 or 30. We always shock when we hear their age. So, but today I had the opportunity to admire both your works, to admire what you want to do, what you are doing, and the way that you are working towards making this world a better place for us to live. To me, that is what comes out of today's session. We are looking at, I feel confident that as I move on and go back to the ancestors' realm, there are all these young people coming and doing what they're supposed to do. So tomorrow will be a better world. And you both tackle 2 vital areas. Christelle with reading, basic, you can't go further. And Anakaona with math, more basic. So you really, both of you have touched 2 areas that are vital and 2 areas that are within school systems. They are problematic for our people around the world. Around the world, our children have problems with reading, around the world, our children have problem with math. And both of you have decided, each of you have decided to take one and to tackle it. And I think you've done a great job. And I wish you all the best, much success in what you want to do. And I know you will not be afraid to go ahead and take the next step and the next step and the next step. As you work from your divine self, perfection is what you're heading for. So trust yourself, trust that voice inside, and go and continue to bring what this world needs to be a better world. Christelle, as I looked at you, and Yaya saw it too. There is need for a bit more silence, a bit more relaxing. You have a plate full and you see every day more that you could do, but take a little time. Take an hour more sleep, put an hour more sleep on your schedule. You will find yourself able to do even more if you give yourself a little bit more silence and a little bit more rest. I used to run on 4 hours sleep a night, and I'm sure I will pay the consequences at some point. But today I'm trying to train myself to do better. Trying. So it's good to be aware that silence and being at peace, you know, sometimes everything turns into an activity, even what we call relaxing. We're going on vacation, and the vacation turns into more activities, more things to do. Well, let's try to take a vacation from doing. The Asians have a saying, we must learn to not do. So some of us need to stop sometimes and not do. And as I look at the situation we are in the world today, all of us in a sort of not do mode. We have to be in, not be able to take the car and run and take the plane and fly and take this and that. We're all into a sort of not do mode. But as we are locked in, look at what's happening with Mother Nature. I was just sharing with some of the volunteers here. We are seeing birds we had not seen in 20, 25 years. The guy who's taking care of our land in Petit Guave tells me that he has planted, but he's seeing so much more than what he usually sees after his work. So as we stop and not do, there are other works that are done that are even more important than the things that we do. So it's good for our own self to stop and be silent and be peaceful, but it's also great for nature that humans stop doing. And that's, to me, the most positive thing about the moment that we're living today, is that all of nature is so much more alive. Animals, plants, everything is bountiful, is plentiful. And I think there is a connection between us doing less and the world, the nature doing more, and we will benefit from it. That would be my thought. But perhaps our two young ones, I don't want today for the old lady to close the show. We want the young ones to bring us on to the next thing. Please. Christelle.
I will let Amira close the show. So I would just say to Bayyinah that you are right. It's something I have to learn. Like staying still is not one of my qualities. And I know that I have to work on it. And the resting as well. I get in trouble with my dad all the time because I stay with him and he tells me, you need to sleep more. So I am aware that this is something that is not my best quality. This is something I need to work on. And I thank you for noticing and for making a point to say it to me. So thank you for having us and having me. And thank you for allowing me to share this moment with your friends, Bayyinah. It's a true honor for me and to have shared the stage with Amira, who I think her work has so much potential and is going to be great. It's already great, but we want the whole world to know that it's out there. And so all my encouragements and all my wishes of success to you, Amira.
Thank you so much, Krystel. Oh, so I think I'll just kind of point out the takeaways. First, I want to thank everyone. This was a great opportunity as you get to discuss and talk about the thing that you've had inside of you, and you've released it and you talk about it. It helps with the energy. So I just want to thank my mother and Franz for this platform, and sharing it with you, Krystel, was also inspiring because, you know, sometimes we get caught up in the work and I get caught up in my head, and you know, when you share and you get some feedback, it's always energizing. But I think the takeaways here are, you know, we at one point were nothing. We were just manifestations. And because that one sperm made it to the one egg, we're here and we're doing what we're doing. My mother, Franz, Christelle, we're all here for a purpose. And it's a miracle that we are actually even here. So for everyone, it's a miracle that we're all here. And the importance is that we seize the opportunity, and we seize that by just, whether it be being still or whether it be trying to manifest that thing that's inside us, that voice that's telling us to do that thing, whatever that voice is, and adhering and listening to the voice, because there's a feeling of just overwhelming joy, not accomplishment necessarily, but joy and satisfaction when you listen to that voice, that inner thing saying, just do this, just try it, just make that call, and you do it. And people are appreciative. A long time ago, a person told me, and it always stuck with me, that, you know, you are the prayers that somebody in one of your ancestors, you're the answer to one of your ancestors' prayer. And, you know, when you think about that, you know, as people now, we want our descendants to feel accomplished and to feel joy and to contribute something to the world. So sharing a flat platform with many of you, and I see some of your questions, I see some of what you're doing, and with the rest of the panelists, it just kind of inspires me to know that I'm finally listening to that voice and delivering it. So we just have to keep maintaining and doing that and taking care of ourselves and our family as we do. So I'll stop there, or else I can ramble until 4:30. But I just want to say I'm thankful for this opportunity, and it was wonderful sharing it with you all. So officially close it.
Thank you very, very much.
Now I'll let Ma Bello do an official close, but first I want to share with everyone a few things that we have coming up soon, right? I shared it a little bit earlier, but I'll share it again. We have on May 8th, we're doing our Zoom Royal Birthday Celebration. May 8th is the birthdays of the Empress Felicite and the Queen, Marie Louise. And we're doing a celebration that's going to be live, hosted by Bayyinah Bello at the Foundation in Haiti. So we're looking forward to that. Make sure you RSVP for that. We're also collecting donations for that. The PayPal information, the donations won't be through Eventbrite. The donations, we're asking everyone to donate to the PayPal email that you see on the flyer over here. And is there anything you would like to mention about this birthday celebration, Ma?
Well, we are doing all we can, so we keep the tradition. This will be the 21st birthday celebration, held by Fondation Félicité for the two wonderful ladies, Empress Félicité of Haiti and Queen Marie-Louise of Haiti. And both born on the same day, May 8th, 30 years apart. The Empress on 1748 and the Queen 1778. And I sure hope that soon I will see a Christelle's book on the Empress and the Queen, because it is a very sad situation that in our books, in our history books, they are not even hardly mentioned. Most of our children have no clue about those two great ladies. So, which is why it's even more important for us to celebrate them, to celebrate their soul. These are women who worked on education, health, and justice. Those were their three areas: education, health, and justice. And so in this, since we have invited everyone to participate, we have Sister Kesheniwa in England, who's doing an ebook about the two women and is going to put it out as a fundraiser for Fondation Félicité. We have many different gifts have already come through. We have a dancer who's going to offer us that day a special dance that she's going to choreograph for the Queen and the Empress. We have people who will sing, those who will give say things, poetry will be recited. Here we will have a tour. There's a lot of talk right now about we must have a reception anyway, even if we have 10 people at a time coming in. We don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but we are debating it with some of our folks. We have Restaurant La Médaille, who wants to prepare, who wants to offer us the food. So it's growing by day by day. The celebration is taking its shape. But in any case, we also invite everyone on May 8th who can join us at the Zoom. And if it is a cola you want to open for them, then you open it and say what you want to say to them. If it is a bottle of champagne, if it is a cake, with your family, if you want to celebrate them, whichever way you choose to, we will be happy to share, to put all of our various celebrations together and have a great celebration for those two wonderful women. One of them, the Empress, has gone through slavery, become free, learned to read and write, teach many people to read and write, teach the liberator of Haiti to read and write French, and live to be 110 years old. And even that you don't even put in your history, that is a crime. So anyway, we are going to celebrate them on May 8th. As things evolve, we will keep you informed on this platform.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look out for that. You'll be receiving, everyone today will be receiving an email so that you'll be able to register for this celebration. So look out for that coming today. And of course, Thoroughbred Books. These are the books that I've published and written, except for She Rose of the Haitian Revolution, written by Bayyinah Bello. So like we mentioned today, it's important to come up with your vision and manifest them. I felt same way as Krystel. There was no information about our history for people up here. So instead of complaining about it, I just went ahead and wrote it and published it and offered it to whoever would be interested. And now we're 4 books later with many books to come. So definitely looking for support on these projects. You could order those books at thoroughbredbooks.com. And also next Thursday on Bayyinah and Friends, we have a special guest as well, Dr. Wade Nobles. I believe Bayyinah and Dr. Wade go way back. So the conversation is definitely going to be stimulating. Do you have a topic of that's going to be the
Yes,
topic? Oh, okay.
Mimi, we'll be discussing.
Oh, fantastic. So everybody make sure that you read up so that you can be involved in the conversation.
So for those who want to know, this book, The Island of Memes, IT's Unfinished Revolution, is an analysis, a psychological analysis by Dr. Wade Nobles as to what has happened with the Haitian Revolution and where it's at now.
Yes, I've read that book and it's a great book. So whoever's interested in, you should definitely read it. It'll be great to read before this if you have the opportunity. So that's coming May 7th, next Thursday on Bayyinah and Friends. And Professor Bello will be, we're sending all our positive energy down to Brother Khalid and friends down in Florida so that, and you know, we're hoping everything opens up so that.
We are working at materializing our activity on May 8th. We're not hoping for things, we make them happen. So all the energies here, set them right. So we open up the airports, we get the lines, the airlines flying, et cetera, So on May 30th, we'll be together in Florida.
Yes, I always mess up and say the H word. So we are working on sending positive energy to make this event happen. So if you're in the Florida area, make sure to get your ticket because Ma Bello could be in town.
Could you put the book title in the chat again, please? The book title Mama Bello was saying?
Yes, I'll write it in there. Let's see. Okay, and then of course, Saturday, May 23rd, there's going to be this panel. So take note of all the information. Usually the sister is here to talk about it a little bit, but I'm not sure if she's on today. But this is going to be another virtual event panel. It's going to be great discussions here. And cooking class coming up. That's my mom, Chef Maya Alice. We're going to be making veggie legumes. So that's going to be fun. It's already packed. We already have over 200 RSVPs for this event. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to be the sous chef. I'm not cooking. So I'm just going to be handling the camera and asking her a bunch of questions. And she's going to be doing all the work. But she's a fantastic chef, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot of tips to use in your own kitchen. And of course, Haitian Heritage Month from the Haitian Collaborative, the Haitian American Collaborative. You heard from two of the proprietors, Diana and Fancy. They put this together so that we'll have an event every day of Haitian Heritage Month from the 1st to the 31st. So I'm going to get in contact with Amira and Christelle to see if they'll be interested in participating in this Haitian Heritage Month calendar. We could, find some. We're doing a lot of health, education, and justice on here. So our sisters that spoke today will definitely, that's in their field. So we'll be reaching out to them to see if they want to participate. My mom is also doing the cooking. That cooking class is actually part of this calendar on the 3rd, May 3rd. So look out for that. And that's it. Thank you very much. We just thank you for the donations. We appreciate each and every one of you that helped make this programming happen. I want to say thank you to Amira. I want to say thank you to Krystel. You ladies are awesome, powerful women with purpose. I love it.
Thank you.
Indeed. So we'll be in touch very soon so that we can work on a whole bunch of different other things. Right now I have time. We all have a little bit of time to make some different things happen. So definitely looking forward to working with you ladies, hopefully in the future. And I think that's it for me. So, Ma, why don't you give us a final word so that we can go and have a powerful rest of our day.
Well, my children, I should sit on my rocking chair to give that final word, so it will really be final. Well, it was a pleasure being with all of you. I am glad that we shared this day. We learned a lot about ourselves, because when we talk about our children, we talk about ourselves. Our children are the continuation of us in the future. So, and each one of us, the more children, it's not just of children from, biological children, but the more children we make in the world, the more lives we continue. So it is, I'm thrilled and I'm very proud of what I look like in the future. Whether you look at me as Krystel or look at me as Anna Kauna, I'm looking good. And things are looking better for the world. All the ones who followed, please be inspired. Let us hear from you next week, next month, that you have stepped up. The project you've been thinking of, what you've been saying you might do. Let us hear that after this session, you decided to go ahead and make it happen. You can. Your divine self. There is nothing you want that you can't make happen. Trust yourself. Don't listen to those who say something different. Trust me. You can and you will. Go ahead. Go forward and higher. Always. That's who we are. Take care.
Bravo. Thank you.
I just unmute everybody, so.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mama Bello.
Thank you. Thank
Merci.
you, ladies. Thank you, Ms. Bello. You guys are inspiring. Thank you very much for your work.
Merci, merci, merci.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, everyone.
Sending positive vibrations.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, Yaya.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. So we'll see you again Thursday.
No, but
Friends.
that right there, that was weird. That was weird. That was not about money. That was not about money.